Hi, my name's Andy, and I'm going to be talking about how the sponge works, and how it functions, and what systems it doesn't have, and what systems it does have. You see, a sponge doesn't actually have a digestive system. How it works is, what it uses goes in through the pores, and when it needs to release waste, it goes out through the pores at the top, which is called the osculum. Once again, sponges don't have a respiratory system, or any respiratory organs. So how it works is, oxygen is supplied by the direct exchange between the tissues and the surrounding water. So that's what acts as the respiratory system, but technically it doesn't have one. Okay, so sponges don't have a digestive system, a nervous system, or a circulatory system. I know it's hard to believe that a sponge can live without using any normal functioning things that a lot of animals have. But how it works is it uses pretty much the same system that you saw in the first slide, describing how the process you saw replaces the digestive system. Water goes in through the pores, and then it comes out through the top. Okay, to expand more on how the sponge actually functions, here's a picture. The pore cells is what allows water carrying in food and oxygen. And in there is something called the epithelium, which controls what goes into the sponge. So the sponge won't be poisoned by harmful substances in the water. And like I was talking about earlier, the osculum, that's where stuff is released. You know, kind of like pooping for us, but instead it goes up through the top. And down here, the amylopectin is where food is broken down. Homeostasis is one thing that the sponge actually has that other animals have. And you see, how it works is, the way that it maintains homeostasis is by using the ocean's water temperature to regulate its internal body temperature. It's hard to believe that a sponge has a skeleton, but it actually does. Their skeleton is made of a mesh protein called spongin. That's what it looks like close up in the picture. How do sponges reproduce? Well, they can either reproduce sexually or asexually. You see, sponges are hermaphrodites, which means they're male and female. So, a sexual way of production is when a sponge releases sperm into the ocean when it goes into another sponge, which creates another little sponge. And an asexual way is a process called budding.
Right now, only 5.
Budding is an external growth of the sponge, where it forms on the outside of it. So like in this picture, when you see that, that's budding, and that's how it looks like. Sponge behavior. Well, as hard it is to believe, sponges don't really have any kind of behavior, but you'd probably think that they would have a hard time defending themselves. Well, believe it or not, they can. They release chemicals that are either toxic or they just taste bad, so don't mess with a sponge, because they don't mess with you.